In this video, we are going to take a closer look at the native and non-native plants growing close to the river and learn how they can impact salmon habitat. The native trees and shrubs growing next to the river in the riparian zone, which is the area of land directly next to the stream, serve three important functions for salmon habitat. First, the trees and branches shade the stream, keeping the water cold. Next, the roots hold the stream bank in place, preventing erosion, and also filter out any dirt or sand, keeping the water clear. And finally, the roots also filter out any dissolved pollutants in runoff water, keeping the water in the stream clean. The native plants growing next to the stream also serve other important functions. Dead leaves falling into the water provide food for aquatic macroinvertebrates, and dead tree trunks that fall into the water can form pools where salmon hide from predators. Native plants are those that have been in this place for a really long time and have co-evolved with the other plants and animals that live here. They coexist well with the other plant and animal species that live in this place. Non-native plants are those that were brought over by European colonizers and have not co-evolved with the native plants and animals that live here. Because of this, they do not coexist well with native species and can take over native plants, crowding them out and preventing them access to sunlight. Let's take a walk and look at some plants. This first plant is native salmonberry. You can identify it by the dark green leaves that form in 3 leaflets. You can also identify it by the light pink to orange berries that form in early summer. Salmonberry are one of the largest riparian shrubs and can be found in areas that were recently disturbed by a forest fire or a flood. This next plant is native red elderberry. You can identify red elderberry by the bright red berries and the bark that appears worn and bumpy. Elderberry grows really fast and forms a dense thicket. It also attracts a lot of insects to the riparian zone. This next plant is invasive creeping buttercup. Buttercup is poisonous to humans and wildlife, and also is allelopathic, which means it releases chemicals that are poisonous to plants growing nearby. This next plant is a native vine maple. You can identify a vine maple by looking at the leaf. Vine maple leaves have 7 to 9 lobes, or these distinct points on each leaf. You can also tell that it's a maple if you find any of these helicopter seed pods that provide an excellent food source for birds and other wildlife. The far-reaching root systems of vine maple help keep the stream bank in place. This next plant is native snowberry. You can identify snowberry by its fine woody stems and these small pink flowers that will turn into white berries later in the year. These white berries grow well into the winter season and provide a really important food source to birds and other wildlife. This next plant is a native Nootka rose. You can identify Nootka rose by the small thorns on the stem and also these bright pink flowers that will turn into a rose hip later in the season. These rose hip fruits provide a really important source of vitamin C in the fall and winter for deer and birds. This next plant is invasive Himalayan blackberry. You can identify Himalayan blackberry by the thick stem with sharp thorns. It also has 5 leaflets, which is different than our native blackberry, which only has 3. Himalayan blackberry forms dense thickets next to the stream, but doesn't provide any erosion prevention like native trees and shrubs. On our plant walk, we found 5 native plants and 2 non-native plants. So based on those observations, take a moment to think about whether you think the plants found in the riparian zone along the South Fork of the Nooksack River provide excellent habitat for salmon, fair habitat for salmon, or poor habitat for salmon.